Yo, I ain't gonna lie, the Lumix S9 is lightweight beastie when it comes to anamorphic, as long as you could get over one thing. We gotta talk about it. I'm under no obligation from Lumix to make any videos, okay? I know all the stuff y'all been saying and all that other stuff, but I'm making this video purely because I want to. I wouldn't buy that Lumix S9 specifically for anamorphic or as your only camera unless you know for a fact that you can deal with its shortcomings and that you won't outgrow it. If either one of those two things hold true, I would encourage you to instead look on the used market for S5 Mark II, or save up extra $200 or $300, find one on sale, buy a Lumix S5 Mark II brand new, because it is ultimately a much more complete camera, although it doesn't have a small form factor in the advanced real-time LUT. Other than that though, if you did buy a Lumix S9, anamorphic is one of the perks, okay? Again, I would not recommend buying it specifically for anamorphic, but because it is pretty much a Lumix S5 II in a shrunken down body, it shares all the same benefits that the S5 II does when it comes to anamorphic, and it actually has one or two extra little things that the S5 II doesn't do. All right, what makes the Lumix S9 so freaking special when it comes to anamorphic? Okay, let me paint this picture first. There's no other camera on the market that can shoot 6K 30 open gate in 10-bit that has autofocus and all that other good stuff at the price point of $1,500. The only thing that comes close is the Blackmagic 6K, and that's on sale for $1,500, and that has its own set of disadvantages, like it doesn't have autofocus and all that other good stuff. Neither here nor there. There's no other camera out there new at the price point that could offer you what this offers. Now, I do have this mated with the DJI Focus Pro. I'm not saying you got to do this, but I will be doing a whole separate video because it took some jimmy rigging to get this to work. But anyways, why is open gate so important for anamorphic? Open gate allows you to use the full width and the full height of the sensor, and that is important when it comes to anamorphic. So as an example, I'm using this Sirui 50mm 1.6 times anamorphic lens from BH Photo. When you pair that with 6K 30 open gate, it allows you to get down to a final aspect ratio of pretty much CinemaScope, which is industry standard, of 2.421. It also has Super 35 options and 16:9 options, and this is the reason open gate is so important. It allows so much freaking flexibility when it comes to anamorphic. Oh my God, it is so freaking peaceful out here, but it's getting hot in here. So stop it, Terry. Okay, one thing I forgot to mention to y'all is the S9 does have a MP4 light option, okay? So it's a 3.8K 30 frames per second open gate option. It's limited, okay, but it is there for y'all that don't want to shoot full 6K. Now, one of the benefits of Lumix cameras, okay, is the fact that they give you everything when it comes to monitoring. Now, I'm not saying that you can't shoot anamorphic with a camera that doesn't give you all of the monitoring tools like the S9 does. You can, you know, just shoot it, slap a lens on there, deal with everything in post like they used to do back before we had any of this good stuff, right? But the fact that the S9, again, at the price point, offers everything that it offers is crazy. So Terry, what are you talking about? So the S9 actually has built-in anamorphic de-squeeze options in there. So a lot of times you have to connect the monitor to get a preview of your footage, what it will look like de-squeezed. Well, with the S9, you don't have to do that because you got a bunch of options in there. So you got everything up to 2 times de-squeeze, but it is missing still, like every other Lumix camera out there, the very popular now 1.6 times. So I just used the 1.5 times de-squeeze preview and, you know, kind of adjust it in post. But, you know, most of the options are in there. When you combine that though with all your vector scopes and your waveforms and everything else that you can put on the screen, and you still get shutter angle and all that stuff in the Lumix S9. They didn't strip none of that stuff out. You got a very, very compelling little anamorphic package that has all your anamorphic de-squeeze previews and all that stuff built into it. Again, we talk about price point, $1,500. What other camera can offer you this with these options built into it? I'm just saying. All right, as I alluded to earlier in this video, my lenses and a whole bunch of this stuff actually came from BH Photo, and they are today's sponsor, so I might as well tell you about them in the case that you haven't heard of them. And if you haven't heard of them, that means you're living under a rock somewhere. Anyways, they've been in business since 1973. They offer everything you could possibly need on your creative journey. So they have all of the cameras, whether it's mirrorless, whether it's cinema cameras, they have all of your lenses, they have all the accessories like filters, your audio equipment like microphones, they have your lighting, your surveillance, your your electronics. They offer drones. Like everything that you could possibly need is at BH Photo. Also, they have a section called Deal Zone. The Deal Zone will let you get a whole lot of stuff on sale. So you got to make sure that you go on there because it changes all the time. And they even have an option to trade in your used gear towards the purchase of new gear. I do all of my shopping through BH Photo. So the links to everything I'm using will be in the description. Make sure y'all go check them out. Tell them Tight Shirt Terry Warfield sent you, and back to the video. Let's get it. The one thing I want y'all to remember when it comes to the Lumix S9 is price point, okay? Again, it's only $14.99. The only other camera in the price point that can offer what we're about to talk about, which is anamorphic stabilization, is the Lumix S5 Mark II. And again, you got to spend more money to get that unless you want to buy one used. Now, anamorphic stabilization is not like full stabilization, okay? It's not stabilizing every single axis. It's only Z-axis stabilization. So that means that if you still want them super smooth, buttery, anamorphic shots, you should probably still use a freaking gimbal. It's not gonna eliminate that, okay? But what it will do is if you're intentional about it, it will allow you to get some really smooth handheld footage. I mean, you might still have to do a little bit of warp stabilizer in post, but it'll eliminate a whole lot of that shakiness and stuff that you typically find with cameras that shoot anamorphic that don't have any stabilization built into it. So again, we're talking about all of these things as a whole. The fact that the 6K30 open gate and the tiny form factor that can shoot 10-bit, it's got all of these monitoring options, it's got all of that stuff, plus the fact that it's got anamorphic stabilization built into it. Say what you want, but as a package, it's a pretty big deal, okay? Freaking Leviathan mosquitoes everywhere. Listen, the Lumix S9 has a big problem that I'm about to tell you about. But before I tell you about that, I want to talk to you about real-time LUT. Now, if you missed out on what real-time LUT is, I'm not about to go into the detail. I made a whole video explaining everything. But this camera will allow you to bake in 39 freaking LUTs. 39 LUTs that you can hot swap, edit all that stuff right in the camera and using the Lumix Lab app. And no other camera right now can do this. Now, I know this won't be for everybody because there are some people who just want to color grade the mess out of everything. And trust me, I feel y'all, because sometimes that's me. But for those instances where you're filming anamorphic and you just want to have color graded footage right out the camera, yo, no other camera can do this, okay? Now that I got that out the way, we gotta talk about the biggest problem with the Lumix S9, and it's getting real hot, and that's freaking record limits. I cannot stand the record limits on the Lumix S9. I don't know if they did it because of overheating concerns, whatever the case may be, but here's the lowdown, okay? In 6K, 10 minutes. 4K, 15 minutes. 1080p, 20 minutes. Do not buy this camera if you need to shoot longer takes using anamorphic or non-anamorphic. It is not the camera for you. I don't know if Lumix is going to remove this restriction in the future, but as it stands, it is the biggest problem with the Lumix S9. You need to be mindful of it. Now, any competent filmmaker or photographer will not be restricted by gear. Example, we were in Japan filming a mini doc. Cam Mackey directed it. Y'all know how dope he is. So I was just over, you know, with my little low-level self shooting BTS for him, right? But we did the whole thing, BTS and A-roll with the Lumix S9. The only concern was we had to make sure that the clips weren't too long. Now, the camera doesn't shut off at 10 minutes or whatever limit it does. It just needs you to press record again to restart it, okay? But it's just something to be mindful of. I know that the Lumix S9 is very limited. I'm not making excuses for it. Lumix, y'all have to remove these freaking record limits. If it overheats, it just overheats. People will complain, but whatever. But what I am saying is that no matter what the gear is, if you know what you're doing, you can get the job done. Terry, can you please stop trying to sell us so hard on this Lumix S9? Trust me, I'm not. I don't really give a crap what camera you buy. Listen, I'm not saying that the Lumix S9 is for everybody. I've made that no secret. The Lumix S9 is crippled in a lot of ways. It's got flaws. But let me be honest, if I were in the market for a travel camera, it would have been the perfect one for me had Lumix not sent it to me for long-term review. Because the fact that I could get something this small with the full frame, 24 megapixels that could shoot 6K 30 open gate, okay, that has the ability to load in 39 custom LUTs that I can hot swap, color grade, all that stuff in the camera with the app, is fire. When you add in the fact that it can support anamorphic stuff on top of that, it just becomes a really appealing travel camera for me. And I'm not saying that everybody should go out and buy one. Don't come in the comment section saying, no, it's not for everybody. And if it's not for you, it's just not for you. Anyways, if you like this video, be sure to leave a comment. a like down there, hit the subscribe button, turn on notification bell so that you get notified when new videos go up. And if you want more S9 content, there's a playlist up there. And big shout out to BH Photo for sponsoring today's video. Hit the links in the description. Until next time, I'm out of here. It's getting real hot and sweaty. Thanks for Terry Warfield. Peace and chicken grease. I'm out, y'all. Peace.